Hello everybody, welcome back to another Lucky Spartan 75 video. Today I will be taking out the Admiral Graf Spee into yet another World of Warships game. Now, the Admiral Graf Spee is a very formidable heavy cruiser with good armor. However, its guns, while large of caliber, can be tricky at dealing with smaller targets like destroyers, because their reload is typically pretty slow. So I'm going to want to hunt larger vessels like cruisers and battleships. Those will be much easier pickings than the lighter destroyer that could probably torpedo me if given the chance. Now here I'm going to make the call to go to the left side of sea so that I could possibly catch the enemy unaware, as everyone will probably be expecting you to take the shortest route, which is right up that center I'm looking at. Now, it is about here where I begin to notice that the New Mexico is following me. And while I do appreciate the help, the New Mexico is a lot slower than I am, so taking this roundabout way is going to take him significantly longer to enter the battle than me. I noticed that the Queen Mary is the first to be spotted, Tier 4 British battleship, and I'm already beginning to think of a way to deal with her. And then I noticed the Fuso gets spotted, and the New Mexico. That's a lot of firepower coming my way, and although the Graf Spee does have decent armor, there are places where their 14-inch caliber guns can penetrate me very easily and make my existence, make me no longer exist anymore. It's at this moment I noticed that the destroyer is spotted on the left, so I also need to deal with that to try and help our destroyer, as that is typically a responsibility cruisers have, is getting rid of destroyers. Now, he does deploy a smoke screen to help both of us out, so I begin to forget about the battleships and worry more on the imminent torpedo threat. He launches his torpedoes at the destroyer. I fire, get a good hit, and then it's at this point I deploy my torpedoes against him just in case he decides to turn. Now, this is the problem I was mentioning with these guns. You see how long it takes to reload these things?
Give me your money.
My secondaries are going to work. I luckily land a torpedo. He unfortunately got his second tubes off, and I believe I eat one here. Yep, eat one right on the nose. But that's fine, because I'm still alive and he's not. Now, I'm not going to fire my guns at the Queen Mary here, because that's going to reveal me, and the smoke screen's the only thing keeping me alive, so I opt for the torpedoes instead. Now, if the torpedoes weaken her enough, I will take the shot, because that'll be an easy kill. With my 11-inch guns, I should be able to relatively easily penetrate her armor from this range. And yep, that seems like a pretty safe shot to take. And down goes the Queen Mary. Now, the New Mexico is my new problem. It is an American dreadnought, so shooting at its belt is probably not advisable for me, even with 11-inch guns. But the aft and fore armor are generally weak on American dreadnoughts, so I'll be aiming for the rear. Now, I would like to mention I have been making great use of the hydrophone as well as that smokescreen my destroyer dropped, as without the hydrophone I would not be able to see the Queen Mary through the smoke. So I've also been making use of my torpedo tubes a lot, which is very helpful at taking out larger vessels. And I don't just use the torp tubes to do damage, I often use them even when they're on cooldown to find out via the white line just which way the enemy ship is going. The Fuso has decided to charge me, which is bad news because those 14-inch guns are going to hurt me. I'm all alone here, and yep, that looks like it probably citadeled me right through the front. Not good. I'm in a sticky wicket with the Fuso, but thankfully support is rapidly coming in from my allies, and he eats it big. It's at this point my torpedoes are off cooldown, so I decide to yeet them at the Fuso in a desperate attempt to get him off of me, because I could not take much more if his guns reload. Those torpedoes are looking pretty good, but thankfully my teammates are even better, as they quickly release the Fuso from this mortal coil and send him to the bottom. Now, I'm noticing that the New Mexico is not coming out from behind that island via my torpedo trail, so I opt to go take the fight to him. Given what angle he's taking to me, I can probably safely assume it's useless to fire at his belt, because these are 11-inch guns, that's an American dreadnought, they're just going to harmlessly ricochet off. But like I said earlier, their rear and fore armor are weak, so I could penetrate him from the back. Giggity giggity. I will avoid these carrier torpedoes because he dropped me from the worst possible angle that he could have. My fighter plane, unfortunately, does bite the big one. War hero, honestly. We'll celebrate when we get back to port. But yeah, the New Mexico is ignoring me, which is good for me, not great for him, as I disable a turret penetrating his weak rear armor. It's here I don't want to make my presence too well known because it's New Mexico. It's going to delete me if it gives me any kind of attention. But I'm launching torpedoes to sort of keep him in line, make sure he doesn't stray too far from his beached position. And yep, my allies are making very short work of him as I keep his attention on being beached to avoid my torpedoes. Now he is reversing, and he's finally taken notice of me, as I've been chipping away at him pretty badly, being very annoying. And now another battleship, the Nevada, is slowly making his way out to support the New Mexico. I got lucky there. That shell over-penetrated, and the two other shells missed. That could have been really bad. The Nevada is now going to make my life a bit miserable, as he's coming out. He's got the same caliber guns as New Mexico. Thankfully, New Mexico is no longer a problem, so now Nevada is my only chief concern. And with my torpedoes coming off cooldown, I check to see which direction he's going. And yeah, it's history from there. From this angle, my 11-inch guns shouldn't ricochet. They might shatter, though. As long as I just aim a bit above the belt, should be okay. His secondaries are firing, which tells me that he might be using a secondary build on a Nevada, which is kind of strange. But yeah, I launched the torpedoes in anticipation of him slowing down because, well, he slowed down. So I fire a little behind where the white line said he was going. And now I just charge him down and get the second torp tube ready just in case the first one does not accomplish this goal. But it seems like those torpedoes are going to do the job. Yep, Nevada goes down. The Graf Spee almost single-handedly defends with a little help from allies from the back. But yeah, that's about the end of this game. It was pretty exciting. I had multiple points there. I thought I was going to get overwhelmed by battleships, but yeah, the New Mexico over there really came in clutch, obliterating that Fuso and sending him straight to hell. But yeah, that'll about do it for this video. The Graf Spee is a wonderful Tier 5 premium German heavy cruiser, and she's won me many matches. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you all next time.